Okay. Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg. My name is Mangg. And, playing some Elden Ring here. In ultra wide, thanks to a third-party hack, because, I don't know, FromSoft... Uh, 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 they don't acknowledge ultra wide's existence. It's like, I don't know, it's like offensive or so. I don't know what it is. Why would they not in 2022, the year of our Lord 2022, not supporting ultra wide natively? It's insane. It's insane, even in like multiplayer first person shooters or something where they can argue, oh well, it's a competitive advantage. Even that's bullshit. But in a single player focused game, what? And look at it, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous and ultra wide. It's like a painting. Anyways, yeah, so we're playing Elden Ring because next week for Two Brothers Play, we're going back to this game to continue our co-op adventures. And Lego has been playing quite a bit on his own, leveling up. He's like level 110 now or some shit like that. He hasn't really progressed anywhere. He's just been like grinding. So now my co-op character has fallen quite a bit behind, so I have to work to catch up. And we're gonna be testing out the seamless co-op mod. It's a very recent thing that allows you to just summon a person once, and then basically no matter what happens to either of you, assuming you don't disconnect, you stick with each other and you never have to resummon them. Through boss fights, through deaths, anything. Apparently, it's just seamless co-op as it should have been. I really hope FromSoft looks at this and like, maybe we are wrong. But we have not tested it yet. I've not used it. I've just heard about it. I think Lobos Jr. has been doing a seamless co-op run. So that must be going well. Anywho. But yeah, I'm back to ultra wide as I mentioned, to avoid some burn in on my OLED TV. And because I have that OLED ultra wide monitor from Alienware on the way. That thing is getting crazy back ordered now. I mean, that is like the most popular monitor I've seen in a long time. If you try and order that monitor now, I don't think it ships until, like, August. So that's nuts. Mine should be coming in a couple weeks, but you never know. So that should be great. And I'm pleased to say that my gaming throne from Imperator Works has shipped, I guess, I think. They sent me an email with a picture of it, saying that it is now finished, and it's going to be on its way to their California warehouse, and then from there, it's going to take a ride on a truck from California to Wisconsin. So I'm expecting still like a month and a half until I actually get it. But hopefully it is worth the wait. And I'm thinking my planned setup for that is going to be 3 ultra-wides. If possible. I don't know the exact specifics of how you connect all these different monitors. It can apparently support 5 16:9 monitors, I believe 3 ultra-wides or 1 super ultra-wide. And I was thinking of doing the 1 super ultra-wide, but I don't know. 3 ultra-wides definitely is more encompassing. It surrounds you. And I like having side monitors, since most games don't really play on super ultra-wide anyway. But we shall see about all that. My samurai armor has shipped and should be arriving on Tuesday, in a couple days. That's also very exciting for different reasons. I'll be definitely taking pictures. I might shoot a little video just for the next Hanging with Mangg. But yeah, cool stuff. Let's see. Well, this week on this channel, as it has been for the last few weeks, Elden Ring with a side of Fallout 3. Fallout 3 will finish this week, and we will move on to New Vegas. Elden Ring will not finish this week. But that's the way it be. And that's pretty much it. We did some Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 on Two Brothers Play. That was fun. And like I said, next week we're doing Elden Ring. But that's about it. Nothing too crazy going on this channel. Over on the Exploring series, I put out a video on a Sarkic SCP, the Republic. That did pretty well for itself, I think, thanks to a somewhat clickbaity thumbnail. You know, the events of the thumbnail never really occur in the SCP, so that is a little duplicitous on my part. But it's sort of a general vibe, I guess. And then this week, I worked on, surprisingly, I really thought that this week I'd be working on the 4th Admonition SCP, following the trend of meta-agnostic and chaos theory and whatever the other one was called that I can't remember. There's a 4th one now. I don't really know what all connects them or anything like that. Like, I'm not sure what makes it a series. And I've made no mention in any of them that it's a series. So, it's just cool SCPs. But I really thought I was going to be covering the 4th one, because it just came out. It was the newest option on the polls, but shockingly, The patrons went for dinosaur SCPs, which has been on the polls for months. Not a year, I don't think, but months. So yeah, went all in on dinos, which is nice with Jurassic World coming out. The return of Dr. Alan Grant. My man Sam Neill. It's going to be great. As long as he doesn't die. If he dies, then it's shit. Shit ass. Anyways. Yeah, Dino SCPs. That was the most I've had to look up pronunciations for a video in a long, long time. Probably since, like, Middle-earth videos. The Norse and Celtic ones I definitely had to look up pronunciations for, but there weren't that many different names all in one video. Whereas this was just like, bring on the dinos and all their crazy fucking names. And, you know, if it was mentioned in Jurassic Park, I probably already know how to pronounce it. Like Gallimimus. But there was a lot of dinosaurs out there. Let it be known. And some of them are just weird. Some of them are weird. Coelophysis or something, you know, it's just like, oh my god. And you would never know how to pronounce that just looking at it, so I didn't try. Yeah, overall, good video. I think it's in the 50-minute area. And the last SCP I covered added most of the length due to having a big journal section. But it's a very cool SCP. It's like a town of cowboys from the 1860s that just got teleported back to, like, the Cretaceous period. And it's just, like, such... You know, it's like classic, like, schlock B-movie kind of stuff. But I think there was a movie somewhat recently with, like, Eric Roberts, Cowboys versus Dinosaurs. But it's great. And so there's a whole journal section of one of the cowboys. And yeah, I read that whole thing out with sort of a gruff southern accent, if you will. And it's not what you'd really expect. It doesn't come off as that schlocky in the journal, because basically they just kind of believe that they've been sent to hell, and that they don't know what dinosaurs are. They think they're like demons, and so they think they're being punished by God. And it's kind of just it's a good SCP. So yeah. Should be a pleasant enough video. Because everybody likes dinosaurs. Who have you ever met that doesn't like fucking dinosaurs? They're awesome. And that's sort of a point I bring up a couple times in the video, is like, dinosaurs are kind of anomalous, you know, compared to, like, our modern world and our modern life. Dinosaurs are kind of like fictional. It's really weird to think of them as like real creatures that once lived. Like, you know, picturing just like a Stegosaurus and a T-Rex and stuff, and then thinking that these once were actual things that walked around. It's like dragons or unicorns. It's just like, what the, you know. It's so easy to just think of them as fictional. because of like Jurassic Park or playing like Ark or something like that. You know, it's just like these crazy giant reptiles, and you know. And so that's why I think it's interesting with a lot of the dinosaur SCPs is that, like, if you look at like my cat SCP video or my dog SCP video, they're mostly about taking cats and dogs and making them anomalous. And, like, making them really wild and really weird. I think there's, like, a dog that can just, like, shake its fur fast enough to, like, generate heat or, you know, things like that that just, like, take the basic form of the animal and make it weird. Whereas dinosaurs are already fucking wild. They're already weird and crazy things. So the anomalies are more about, like, taking dinosaurs and putting them in weird, different situations. Such as sending a bunch of cowboys or... what's another one I covered? Oh, there's one that's just, like, a dino preserve in, like, the Congo. And it's just a... Like, none of the dinosaurs there are really, like, anomalous in any major way. But they're just dinosaurs that are walking the planet in this one section of the Earth. And that's crazy. You know? Like, that's it. So, yeah. I like dinosaurs. But I would never have wanted to go into, like, paleontology or something. Because it's sort of like, I think Dr. Grant, like, kind of goes into that in Jurassic Park 3. Where he's like, you know, paleontologists are like, astronomers. Not, you know, they're like the rocket scientists. Where they get to study all these things from a distance and, you know, learn about them and research them, but they never get to go into space. Whereas, like, going to Jurassic Park and, you know, like, you know, Hammond and stuff like that, that's more like the astronaut. But that's where the fiction comes in. So it's paleontology, you know, it's just... They get to do all these things and research all these things, but they're never, ever going to see a living dinosaur. Ever. And that, you know, I think that would just kind of bum me out. Anyways. Yeah, so I think... I don't even know what next week is. I would assume next week is going to be the 4th part of Admonition. If I had to take a wild stab in the dark. Oh, shit. Well, that was brutal. But recording for Final Fantasy XIV has been progressing well. I just did... Ramu, I think. The Striking Tree. I believe I'm, like, shortly after that. So, I think I'm over the halfway point for the patch quests. But there are the Crystal Tower quests, which are required to finish and get to Heavensward. So you have to do those. And so I was sort of debating how I wanted to do that. Because if I make the whole video patch quest plus Crystal Tower, that's going to be pretty massive. And that's going to be big. And also the title of the video would be kind of wonky. It's like I don't even know what to call it. I don't know what an evocative name is for the patch quest, for one. Because I don't want to just call it Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn patch quest. I want to come up with some cool title, so we'll see. So now what I'm thinking is... Nice. Doing all of the patch quests themselves, that will be one video. And then during the video, I will mention the Crystal Tower and say that's a story for, you know, another time. Like, oh, she went and did this, but that's a story for another time, and blah, 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 and we move on. And you don't even really mention it almost at all in the patch quest video. And then I'll do a second video that will just entirely be the Crystal Tower. And that'll probably be a shorter video. Because I think some people will probably appreciate just having Crystal Tower stuff as a standalone video. And explaining all that. So, yeah, 2 separate videos. It'd be nice if I just did the Crystal Tower first and released it, but it wouldn't make sense. I gotta say, unlike like Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VI, where like the best part of those was me just playing the games and recording that and all. I would say the recording of Final Fantasy XIV is probably the worst part, or the most tedious part. Because Final Fantasy XIV, just going through the story, there's really not much gameplay. Which, you know, we've gone over this many times. It's really not, it's basically more of a visual novel. And so you have these long stretches where it's literally just like automated cutscenes that just progress through the dialogue, and, you know, characters talk for like 8 minutes. And, I mean, obviously that's the meat of it. I mean, that's what the story all is, and that's what people like, and blah, blah, blah. But the problem is, during the writing process, after all the recording, I go back through all the videos, and I go line by line through all the dialogue as I write the script. And so, in order to avoid me just reading the same stuff twice, because I'm really not interested in doing that, especially because I've already read all this once in my first playthrough, I just sort of, like, tune out during all the cutscenes, and I just, like, sit on my phone. Because there's, you know, I'm going to read all this on my own later. But that leads to just these long stretches of tedium where I'm doing nothing but sitting on my phone while these cutscenes play out. And, yeah, it's not great. So I would actually say the writing process is probably the best part of making these videos. I mean, if I could get someone else to record all of it, that would be nice, but frankly, I don't really trust anyone. I don't trust anyone. You know, I guess it's sort of a directorial kind of thing, where you're just kind of particular about how you want things framed and how you want things to be set up. It doesn't really matter for, like, the actual cutscenes where you have no control over the camera or anything, but for every other little thing, I don't know. I remember when I was younger, I had a little camcorder and we would go on trips as a family and stuff like that, and I would record a lot of footage, and then I would go back and I would edit it into like a montage with music and stuff. And I was always very pleased with it, and people liked it. And then one time, I think we went to a museum or something like that, and I didn't bring my camcorder. And my brother was like, oh, I'll film it. I'll film all this. And I'm like, all right, you film it, I'll edit it, I guess. And I just remember being so, like, disappointed in the way that he, like, framed things. And, like, the things that, you know, because I always have a specific idea in mind of how I want things shot back then. And it just didn't mesh. And so I just was not pleased with the video. So I think it sort of goes back to that. But anyway, it's not that big of a deal. The thing, you know, the nice thing with the Final Fantasy stuff is there's no time crunches or anything like that. I'm not pushing myself to get it done. It's just gonna get done at some point. But I did make a Twitter post announcing that there will be more Final Fantasy XIV stuff. Yeah. We actually, we sort of had to end our Kingdom Death game. Our Kingdom Death campaign after only like 3 sessions. We had to end it because Ziggy is off his hiatus. So he came back to game night, so now we have 5. It's too many. It's too many for Kingdom Death. But at the same time, I think there were some people that were not too upset that we cut it short. I had a lot of fun with Kingdom Death, playing solo. For those that remember those videos, I mean that's what pushed me to buy it. I was like, wow, this is a great experience. This is really awesome. I should buy this. And it surprises me in some ways that BGG community says that it's best with 4 people. Because so far, I think it's best with 1. The problem with Kingdom Death seems to be, and I'll use Gloomhaven as a comparison. When you start playing Gloomhaven, right out the gate, you have a character class, and he has some equipment right out the gate, and he has like 9 to 12 cards. And all of the cards do different things, and you've got this whole bevy of abilities and like this class identity straight out the gate. Like, oh, you're, you know, a frontline kind of bruiser, and oh, you're the big spellcaster, and oh, you're the sneaky dude. You know, it's like very clear, and there's a lot of options on all your turns of what to do and how to tackle, you know, these combat situations. Right out the gate, like the first scenario. Kingdom Death, however, starts much, much slower. Every character starts with a waist cloth, like a little piece of cloth around their waist, and they start with like a little sharpened stone. That's it. That's every character. You know, you're all identical. Nothing separates you. And you go into combat, and all of you have the same choices every turn. You can move, and then you can melee attack. And if you really want to spice it up, you can throw your little stone once, and then it's gone, and you have to punch things instead. And, slowly, you start to get more options. You know, slowly you start to get, okay, I'm going to use a dagger, and I'm going to attack multiple times, and, you know, go for crits, or I'm going to use a bow. I'm going to use a big axe. I'm going to be kind of a frontline guy, and I'm going to be a ranged guy. You know, you get some options, but still, for a while, your options every turn are moving and then doing your basic attack. Which is sort of my complaint with, like, D&D 5e or something like that, where it's just... I think I played D&D 5e once online or something like that, and I didn't do a single goddamn thing for the entire 2-hour combat, except cast, like, Eldritch Blast over and over again every turn. And it was the most mind-numbing thing imaginable. And that's sort of what Kingdom Death is like, except with much higher stakes. Much higher chance of death. And eventually, you know, if you keep playing Kingdom Death and you keep the campaign going, eventually you get to, like, more options, and you get to, you know, higher end equipment with different abilities, and you get to different fighting arts and secret... Okay, Elden Ring just crashed, so that's good. You get to different fighting arts, and you get to, you know, make it a bit more involved and complicated, but yeah, a lot of it is just like attack and roll the dice. And it was okay solo, because it was more akin to just like this kind of puzzle, and it was just more exciting, and you know, I was in control of everything, so I had a lot more on my plate to manage. And then going into the settlement phase, and I was making all the decisions. I didn't have to consult anyone, and I was in charge of it all. When you break it down to 4 people, you know, all of them have to be kind of invested in their one character each turn, and kind of treating that as an exciting thing. And they all have to be invested in the settlement phase and treating that as like an exciting part of the game. And it's just tricky. It feels, you know, for a while early on, it just feels like a game with a lot of not much to do. And I did not experience that all solo. Like solo, there's always something to do because you're in control of everything. So yeah, I could just sort of sense that it was kind of petering out even after like 3 weeks of it. And so it's a bummer because I spent a lot of money on it, got it all assembled, blah blah blah. But yeah, I could see myself playing it solo. I could see it playing with one other person, where we're both invested. We each have 2 characters to control, and we're doing all this. With like a significant other or something like that. But yeah, 4 people just seems tricky unless everyone is really into it. And so that's why I think Madara might be a better choice, because that has a lot more character identity, character customization, different options on every turn rather than just doing like some standard attack. So the next time we have a group of 4 for an extended period, I'm really looking forward to getting back into Madara with a group, because I think some problems will be lessened from Kingdom Death. I think there's talks of us maybe doing some more Hexplore It, which has a similar problem with too many people of just, if you're not fully invested in all the decisions of like the group and what you're doing and where you're going and stuff like that, there's a lot of downtime there while people are just kind of arguing. And The combats can be very kind of one note. I really wish Hexplorit had more kind of more complications with all of its character classes and all that. Yeah, I know there's no video. Elden Ring crashed, and I don't have much left to talk about, so I didn't want to reload it. I guess I can just fire it back up for the title screen. So yeah, there's talks of us trying out the third game, Sands of Shurax, which I thought was my favorite of the three, because there was so much to do. But again, there was so much to do solo, and I don't know, there might be even more downtime with a big group. I mean, that could take weeks and weeks to get through a campaign of that, and you're still dealing with the same sort of characters, although it does bring in mutations and stuff. So I guess that is a bit more interesting. I don't know. I was contemplating sitting down on Tabletop Simulator and just recording Hexplorit from like start to finish in one sitting and just uploading like an 8-hour long video that no one will ever watch. But I was just like, I kind of want to play Hexplorit again on my own. Like, it is a fun game. And then, you know, watching like the new season of Stranger Things really makes me miss RPGs. Really a damn shame that we're not doing RPGs. But what are you gonna do? How was people's reaction to my voice work in last week's SCP? I don't know. I rarely read comments, as we know. So, well, here you go. That southern accent caught me off guard. Great job on it, though. Listening to this, I felt chills. The emotion in the voice made me feel like I was watching a man's descent in madness. It's pretty good. This guy says the narration sounds like a colonial Elvis. This guy wants to know if there's any more Chrono Trigger. That just like, I get that sometimes with videos where I feel like it's very clear when like something has ended. You know, like when it's very clear that the article or the topic or whatever is over, and then people are like, "Oh, when's part 3 coming out?" It's like, what? Did you even watch? Did you even watch it? Like, why would there be more Chrono Trigger videos? I don't know. Maybe they just... I don't know. I like that you're using a different inflection for the journal. Good job. Oh, inflection. I think my inflection was basically the same as most times that I read journals. Reading of the journal gave me the chills. Yeah, I guess so far, pretty good. That's a second Elvis comment. Narration of the log was absolutely amazing. You should seriously consider narrating audiobooks. Yeah, so I guess overall, pretty positive. Thought it was some of my better work. Well, that's good. I mean, that's the idea, I guess. You're just constantly improving. Hopefully. I guess it's good to sort of find a lane for voice acting. Of just like, this is what your voice is sort of good at. Don't try to bend it too much. So I think sort of like gruff, gravelly kind of voice, deeper, is probably where I should tend to stick and just sort of work within that range. You know, going out of that into like bouncy, happy character, you know. Hey guys! Like, you know, I don't know. But I guess, you know, a good voice actor probably can do a lot of things. Probably because that Elvis film is being advertised a lot. There's an Elvis film? Sure enough. It's called Elvis. With Tom Hanks. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not big on Elvis. But, you know, what are the... Most people my age are not big on Elvis. Jim Croce never gets a movie, and that pisses me off. Didn't expect to hear that from me. Lego always does just like... He's basically, like, his whole life, he's always just done, like, wacky voices. He was always more into doing, like, kawaii voices and things like that, or he did, like, one of our sisters is very into, like, the rural lifestyle. So we'd always make fun of her with, like, a real redneck voice and, you know, things like that. I was never that into voices, but I was always quiet, so I never said anything. It's also a musical, which you're not big on. Oh, it's a musical starring Tom Hanks? I guess he's not starring in it. Supporting. Or I don't know. No. I'm going to see Top Gun Maverick on Tuesday. I've got high hopes for that. Everyone's been raving. And I wasn't even that crazy about the first Top Gun. I only saw it like 5 years ago. And it was just like, okay, I mean, it's fine, you know. It's like very pro-military, I guess, and I don't know. Like, I'm not that into planes, I guess. Like, the idea of just jets, like, dogfighting or something like that is just like, okay. I mean, how do you continue to make that interesting? Whereas, like, when you got, like, infantry, you got, like, soldiers, boots on the ground. Like, I don't know. It just seems like way more potential there. There's a reason there aren't that many movies about pilots dogfighting. But everyone's raving about it. Tom Cruise, the last movie star. Yeah. And I saw an article today that was like, Top Gun Maverick is going to bring back the golden age of blockbusters. With, like, you know, more practical effects and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of just, like, wankery going on to kind of promote the film and just talk about the film in a positive way and blah, 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 blah. But it's got an audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes right now of 99%, which is just insane. So, yeah, I'm definitely excited to see it. But yeah, I guess that's about all there is to say. I did watch the first couple episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So far, definitely intriguing stuff. I like that before that I was like, you know what? I'm just kind of done with the Skywalkers and that whole time period, and why can't they just move on, like move 1,000 years in the future and just be done with all that? But then I watch this and it's like, yeah, fucking Ewan McGregor, yeah, Obi-Wan, yeah, he's awesome. And it's like, well, I don't really know what I want. There's definitely, like, you know, elements of just banking on more nostalgia of just Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke and Leia, and hey, you remember the prequels? They were all right, weren't they? And yeah, I mean, it's definitely not at all what I expected going in. I expected going in just like classic Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor, like, hello there, you know, and just like, just just bouncing on some fools and kicking everyone's ass, and that's not what it is, at least not so far. But yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised, I guess. I don't want to really spoil too much, but, like, you know, they're presenting Obi-Wan as really, like, sort of jaded and kind of like seen himself as like a failure overall. Like, you know, the Jedi are all dead, and, you know, he believes Anakin's dead, and he's basically failed everybody and his entire order and all that. Like, he's really kind of jaded at the start. And I was like, his portrayal and what they're doing here with him as like a jaded, failed Jedi is so far ahead of what they did with Luke Skywalker. Because with Luke, they're just like, yeah, he doesn't give a fuck about anybody. He doesn't care about anything. He's just out here on his own, and he's done. And no, he doesn't give a shit about this girl, really. Yeah, he's just done with it all, and he hates everybody. Oh, maybe he cares a little bit right here at the end. Where it's like, with Obi-Wan, they're like, you know what? He believes that he's failed everybody. He thinks it's all over. He really doesn't think that he can, like, be of use to anyone. But god damn it, he's gonna try. Yeah, overall, like, I'm definitely, like, slowly losing interest in Star Wars over the years. But so far, yeah, I thought the first couple episodes of Obi-Wan were pretty good. I'm excited to see some more. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting stuff. I mean, Ewan McGregor is carrying the whole thing, of course. And again, I don't want to spoil too much because there is kind of a big spoiler as far as like the seeming direction of the whole show within like, you know, the first couple episodes, which was not apparently advertised at all. And I didn't know this going in, so this was just like, oh, okay, this is the show. But I don't want to spoil it, I guess. Not that it really matters. Probably already been spoiled. But, you know, Obi-Wan kind of connects with this sort of young, precocious character. And he's like the gruff, jaded mentor, you know, and the young character is all precocious and the, you know, the fan favorite. And it just feels a lot like Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. Like it feels very similar to that. And I'm hoping that that's not the entire show of Obi-Wan, because it's just like, we've already done this. Obviously, that's like successful formula. People like that. But I want more than that from Obi-Wan. Like, I want different stuff. So, hopefully, there's more to it than that. But we'll see. Yeah, I mean, I recommend the first 2 episodes. Yeah. Okay. So, more Elden Ring, the rest of Fallout 3, and possibly the start of New Vegas this week. Two Brothers play Elden Ring next Saturday. Over on the Exploring series, Dinosaur SCPs, Dino DNA. I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of quotes and memes in the comment sections about dinosaurs and Jurassic Park, and because of course I put the Jurassic Park theme music at the end of the video. How could I not? And so that should be pretty good. And then next week is yep, definitely. Oh, it's not Admonition Part 4. Wow, people are really sleeping on that. We're actually going to be covering Ad Astra per Aspera, the whole space canon. So that'll be just a general overview of all their hijinks in space. That'll be an easy one to find artwork for. There's a lot of space stuff out there. So that should be good. But alrighty. This is good stuff. Next week I will have pictures and maybe a video for you of the samurai armor set up in my home. It will be glorious. And all will be well. For now, though, my name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg. See you fine folks next week.